Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. So here we have another question from the same passage. Let's look into it. So the direction for question is what? Answer the following questions based on the given information below. Well, we have understood what the text is all about. The text indicates about test, which is nothing but the most common trope when talking about the intellectual judgment of an object's aesthetic merit. So test became a major concept in aesthetic. However, the roots of theories of test trace back as many things to Plato and Aristotle. We also talk about uh, Plato and Aristotle and the ancient Greeks did not have any specific idea of test as a means of aesthetic judgment. However, many of their ideas inspired the later development of theories of test. So Plato's metaphysical belief, especially his view of the perfect forms, had an acute influence on the latter. Okay, well, we also find out a couple of words like Neoplatonist, even on those who did not specifically believe in an area of the forms. Okay, but so it is given also at the end that therefore the beauty of an object might relate to that object's purpose, though he never directly says so. He refers to whom? You can talk about Plato's view, that is, or Plato. More important to Aristotle's view are the concept of form and unity, as form and unity are necessary for knowledge in the strict sense. Aristotle holds that the imitation helps the idea become simpler and therefore more easily understood. So the imitation can be useful, sometimes necessary step in obtaining knowledge, and the imitation, though not always complete, is correct rather than rising some higher forms of beauty beyond this physical world. Aristotle seems to have a more experiential approach to discovering and judging beauty. So let's move to the question. So what does the question point out? Which of the following statements would the author most likely agree with based on the passage? So here the keyword is known as a most, right? Most likely agree. Now, object to the options given here, the first option stated Plato and Aristotle had a specific idea of test as a means of aesthetic judgment. Right. So second one, it is stated test as a concept in aesthetic has no roots in ancient Greek philosophy. Third, Plato believed in a literal area of forms where perfect versions of reality exist. Fourth one, Aristotle believed that beauty varies with the different objects and their purpose. Now, if I observe the um, the first one stated about Plato and Aristotle had a specific notion, isn't it? Notion of test as a means of aesthetic judgment. So if I talk about this first option, so this option or this statement is can be called as incorrect according to the passage as the passage explicitly states that neither Plato nor Aristotle had a specific idea of what test in the context of artistic judgment. They found on other aspects of beauty and aesthetics, such as forms and inherent properties of you can say objects, inherent. Um, you can say that inherent. They focused on other aspects of beauty and aesthetics, such as forms and inherent properties, right? Inherent properties of objects, right? Just if you, in that case, you can consider that the first option is incorrect. It cannot be called as a, the author most likely agree with that. So if I go move to the second option, so second option stated test as a concept of aesthetic has no roots in ancient Greek philosophy. Even this statement is also incorrect. Why we consider it is also incorrect? As we can find out that based on the passage acknowledges that the concept of test does not have or does have roots in ancient Greek philosophy, particularly through what? Particularly through the works of Plato and Aristotle. Right. However, their focus was not specifically on test, but on what? Broader, broader philosophical aspect of beauty, philosophical aspects of beauty. So that is why we can consider that option two is not stated about concept in aesthetic or has no roots in ancient Greek philosophy. We can say that what through the works of Plato and Aristotle, we can draw that their focus was not specifically on test, but on broader philosophical aspects of beauty, isn't it? Now, in that case, you can consider option two, right? Uh, Option two is not the correct one. Now, moving to the option three, what does option three say? Plato believed in a liberal area of forms where perfect versions of reality exist, isn't it? Um, if I look at the statement, this statement is partially correct, right? Partially correct based on the passage. It acknowledges Plato's belief in an area of forms where perfect versions of reality exist, isn't it? The passage indicates that whether Plato believed in a literal area of forms is open to interpretation, but he did uphold the existence of perfect forms, perfect, perfect forms influencing our perception of beauty, right? So in that case, option three will consider, but it will be considered as a what? Uh, Part of the information, but cannot be called as a complete or most likely agree, right? So as the keyword is called as the most likely agree. So one, two cannot be the means answer to it. They distort, whereas three is a partially correct, but cannot be called as the most likely agree with it. So next one, you follow to the option four. Option four stated what? Aristotle believed that beauty varies with the different objects and their purposes. Now, this statement is accurately reflects, right? Different object and their purpose. This statement accurately reflects what Aristotle's perspective Aristotle's perspective on what? Perspective on beauty, right? As discussed in the passage, Aristotle viewed beauty as what? Beauty as inherent. Beauty as inherent in objects and related to their size, proportion, and purpose. He did not focus on test as a specific criterion for aesthetic judgment, but rather on intrinsic properties and functions of objectives. Right. So two things are there. One is called as the intrinsic properties, intrinsic properties. Then second one is called as a functions functions of objects. So hence we can consider option 4 will be considering as a most likely agree with the with based on the passage. So at the end, the conclusion can be drawn here based on the passage analysis. We found out option 4 is the statement that the author would most likely agree with. The passage discusses Aristotle's view that beauty varies with different objects and their purposes, which aligns with the idea that beauty is not a universal abstract concept, but rather contingent. It is what? Contingent, right? Contingent on the what? Characteristic and the functions of individual objective. Therefore, the correct answer will be 4, which the author would most likely agree with based on the passage is based on the passage. So option 4, Aristotle believed that beauty varies with the different objects and their purpose. Hence, we can consider option 4 will be the correct answer to it. Hope you understood this. That's all. Thank you.